the curse that refuses to die. England has some of the greatest football players on the planet. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice. Every one of them would walk into most national teams in world football. And yet, millions of England fans are terrified that FIFA World Cup 2026 will end exactly the same way every major tournament seems to end. With heartbreak, with disappointment, with another generation wondering what went wrong. Because England's problem isn't talent. It never was. England's problem is something much deeper. Something that has haunted them for nearly 60 years. And unless they find a way to break it, FIFA World Cup 2026 could become the latest chapter in football's most painful story. The story of a nation that keeps producing world-class players, but somehow never reaches the finish line. This is the curse of England. And it might be worse than you think. Let's start with a question. When was the last time England won a major international trophy? Most younger football fans don't even know the answer. The year was 1966. More than half a century ago. England defeated West Germany in the World Cup final at Wembley Stadium and lifted the biggest trophy in football. For English football fans, it was supposed to be the beginning of a dynasty. A football superpower had arrived. The future looked unstoppable. Nobody could have imagined that nearly 60 years later England would still be waiting for another major international trophy. Think about that for a moment. Entire generations have lived and died without seeing England win another World Cup. Players have come and gone. Managers have come and gone. Football itself has changed completely. But one thing has remained exactly the same. England keeps falling short. The strange thing is that England has never lacked talent. In fact, there have been periods where England possessed some of the best footballers in the entire world. Throughout the decades, they have consistently produced elite players. World-class strikers. World-class midfielders. World-class defenders. Yet every tournament somehow ends with the same feeling. What if that penalty had gone in? What if that referee decision went differently? What if England had handled the pressure better? What if they had simply believed in themselves? The list of painful moments is endless. And each failure only makes the pressure bigger for the next generation. Because every New England squad isn't just trying to win a tournament. They're trying to erase 60 years of disappointment. And that's an impossible burden. Football history is filled with dominant nations. Brazil, Germany, Argentina, France, Spain. These countries have all experienced periods of glory. But England occupies a strange place in football history. They're never outsiders. They're never underestimated. Every tournament begins with expectations. The media hypes them up. Fans start believing. Predictions flood social media. And then reality arrives. Again. And again, and again. Over time, this has created something dangerous. A psychological shadow that follows the team into every major competition. Whether players admit it or not, history matters. When a country spends decades failing at crucial moments, people begin expecting failure, even before the tournament starts. And expectations can become self-fulfilling. Perhaps no era demonstrates this better than England's famous golden generation. For many football fans, this squad should have conquered the world. Look at the names. David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Ashley Cole, Michael Owen. On paper, this team looked unstoppable. These weren't just good players. These were global superstars. Many of them were among the very best in their positions. Week after week, they dominated club football. They won league titles. Champions League trophies, individual awards. Everything suggested that England was finally ready to reclaim its place at the top of world football. But something strange happened. The trophies never arrived. Not a World Cup. Not a European Championship. Nothing. The golden generation became one of football's biggest disappointments. And the question still haunts England today. If that team couldn't do it, who can? The failures began piling up. Tournament after tournament. Opportunity after opportunity. The dream kept slipping away. Sometimes England lost to stronger teams. Sometimes they lost to teams they should have beaten. Sometimes penalties ended their journey. Sometimes tactical mistakes cost them dearly. But the result was always the same. Another flight home. Another summer of regret. Another generation carrying the weight of expectations. Over time, the narrative became impossible to ignore. England wasn't just unlucky. England had developed a habit of losing when it mattered most. And once a reputation like that forms, it becomes incredibly difficult to escape. Because every future player grows up hearing the stories. Every future player knows the history. Every future player understands the pressure. And pressure changes people. Even elite athletes. The modern football world moves faster than ever. Every mistake becomes a headline. Every missed penalty becomes a viral clip. Every poor performance becomes a social media debate. No national team experiences this quite like England. The spotlight is relentless. The scrutiny never stops. One good performance, and people start talking about winning the World Cup. One bad performance, and people start predicting disaster. This emotional roller coaster creates enormous pressure on players, especially young players. And England's squad heading into FIFA World Cup 2026 contains several young stars expected to carry the hopes of an entire nation. That responsibility is massive, perhaps bigger than most fans realize. Now here's where things become truly interesting. Because despite all the failures, despite all the heartbreak, despite 60 years of disappointment, many people believe this current England squad is the strongest England team in decades. The talent is undeniable. The depth is incredible. The stars are already performing at the highest level in club football. On paper, England has everything required to win FIFA World Cup 2026. Everything. Except one thing. Proof. Proof that they can finally overcome the pressure. Proof that they can survive the biggest moments. Proof that history will not repeat itself. And that is exactly where England's curse becomes dangerous. Because FIFA World Cup 2026 will not be won on paper. It will be won under pressure, under scrutiny, under expectations. The same expectations that have crushed so many England teams before them. And as we move closer to 2026, one question becomes impossible to ignore. Is this generation truly different? Or are they simply the latest chapter in a story that has been repeating itself since 1966? Because despite all the heartbreak, all the failures, and all the disappointment, England may have assembled their strongest squad in decades. On paper, they look like genuine world champions. But football isn't played on paper. And that's where England's biggest problems begin. England's problems don't end with history. Because today, they have another golden generation. Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Declan Rice. On paper, this squad has everything needed to become world champions. The talent is undeniable. The depth is impressive. And many fans believe this is England's strongest squad in decades. But England has had talented squads before. The golden generation of Beckham, Gerrard, Lampard, and Rooney was supposed to dominate world football. Instead, they left with nothing. And that's exactly why many fans remain cautious. Because talent alone has never been England's problem. The real challenge is pressure. Bellingham isn't just expected to play well. He's expected to lead an entire nation. Kane continues chasing the one achievement missing from his legendary career. Saka understands better than most what it feels like to carry the hopes of millions. And every player in this squad knows the weight of nearly 60 years. Without a major trophy, that pressure becomes even greater at a World Cup. There are no second chances. One mistake, one missed penalty, one defensive error, and years of preparation can disappear in a single moment. That's why international football is different from club football. The margins are smaller, the pressure is higher, and England's history suggests those moments have rarely gone their way. But the challenge doesn't stop there. Because FIFA World Cup 2026 may be the toughest tournament England has ever faced. France remains loaded with world-class talent. Spain continues producing extraordinary young players. Argentina still carries the confidence of champions. Brazil remains football's biggest sleeping giant. Portugal has one of the deepest squads in international football. And Germany is desperate to return to the top. England won't simply have to play well. They'll have to survive one of the most competitive World Cups in modern history. However, there is one reason for optimism. England now has Thomas Tuchel, a manager known for tactical discipline, preparation, and success in high-pressure knockout matches. His mission is simple. Do what countless managers before him failed to do. Turn England's potential into trophies. And perhaps he has arrived at the perfect moment. Many of England's stars are entering their prime years. They've played Champions League football. They've experienced major finals. They've felt the pressure of playing for their country. Unlike previous generations, this team is no longer learning how to compete. They already know what it takes to reach the final stages of major tournaments. The question now is whether they can take the final step, because that's what makes FIFA World Cup 2026 so fascinating. This may genuinely be England's best opportunity in decades. The squad is talented. The manager is proven. The experience is growing. Everything appears to be falling into place. But until England lifts a major trophy, doubts will remain. Every difficult moment will revive old memories. Every knockout match will feel like a battle against history itself. And that's why England's FIFA 2026 curse is worse than most people think. It's not a curse of talent. It's not a curse of tactics. It's not a curse of coaching. It's a curse of expectation. A curse built by decades of heartbreak. A curse strengthened by every near miss. And a curse that follows England into every major tournament. Now, with FIFA World Cup 2026 approaching, England faces its biggest opportunity yet. To finally prove that history does not control the future. To finally silence nearly 60 years of doubt. Or to become another generation remembered for what might have been. The talent is there. The opportunity is there. The stage is set. Now all that remains is the hardest task in football. Winning the World Cup. Will England finally break the curse in 2026? Or will history repeat itself once again? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Monolith Football for more football stories, World Cup analysis, and the latest updates from around the football world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.